Everyone, welcome to episode 21 of the After Zero podcast. We got a bit of a crazy one for you, as this week or the last 2 weeks have really been a bit of a doozy in the internet culture world and esports and games and all that. We have esports teams completely dropping their entire organization. We have kick.com being in the news for people getting blowjobs, or some of the biggest creators in
Banging
all
The new
of
Pornhub.
live.
yeah, just
The new
everything,
Pornhub.
everything you can think of. We have TikTok being basically hounded by the federal government, and we even have a new king of Twitch. So, how you guys doing though? Before we get into the meat and potatoes.
I'm just
Good,
wondering when
man.
I'm going to get a blowjob on. Wait, what?
Oh,
Oh,
oh. I feel
Anyway.
like,
future cam boy over here.
I mean, if
Hey-
you go to kick.com,
hey, Haley.
you can.
Hey, Haley. On the potty? Getting the slobby?
Nick's announcing his kick.com stream.
Um,
Guys, I've moved to
The
kick.com.
funniest thing-
It's official.
The funniest thing from that is I saw like somebody, a creator that I guess people know, and he was getting the blowjob on stream, and everyone was like, "Wait, that was that guy? I used to watch him."
Yeah,
I was just like,
Yeah.
"Oh, okay, that's
There was
what
the
we're
other-
doing."
there was the
Ah.
other dude that fully exposed himself, fucking the hooker on stream.
What?
Did you see that story? Yeah.
Jesus Christ, dude. This
No.
platform has everything but streaming games.
Yeah.
This is what everybody this is the shit that everyone wanted to talk about with Twitch and like the bikini streams and shit. But this platform's just like, yeah, we do that.
Dude, here's
He's just owning up to it. It's like, yeah,
This
it's perfectly
platform's
normal
like,
over here.
no, like that's our thing. Like that's what we're good at. That's what we do.
It was like
Yeah.
Tumblr back when you could like post basically porn on like Tumblr.
I like
They're
you
back
said,
to allowing
basically
that.
porn. It's like full, it's just full porn.
Yeah, all right.
Tumblr
It's
reverted
all
once they
just
lost a lot of
teasing.
traffic.
And
I
and
mean-
then Tumblr got rid of it, and then like no one used Tumblr again after that.
Yeah, so they were
I
like,
think-
wait, we take it back. We take it back. You can post porn.
So
Yeah.
I think that'll get us into our first topic, which I guess can be kick.com, since it seems to be so polarizing within us and just in general. But what are your guys' thoughts on the platform? Do you guys think it's good, bad,
I
interesting?
actually think that it's
Like-
funny.
it's
After we talked about it, I saw this clip of Aiden Ross talking to like his stream and stuff. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, Kick's gonna be the new Twitch. You know, you're gonna get me over. We're gonna get Kai Sennett over, and all these things. It kind of
Yeah.
like played into what we were talking about a little bit before about the platform and it growing and shit like that.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
just
I mean,
it's just funny to see after us talking
He-
about it right then and
he
there.
did end up moving over, and on his stream either yesterday or 2 days ago, he did say that he signed the biggest contract of all streamers. He's saying that his contract is worth more than 10 million, which is what Ninja and Shroud signed with Mixer. So
hmm
he's alleging that it's bigger. So that's wild, but I'm not surprised
Yeah.
considering that, as we talked about in like whatever episode that was, that it's backed by stake.com.
Yeah.
So I guess that's not too surprising that they have bankroll like that.
Yeah, I mean, the majority of the streams that I've seen on there that are doing anything are just people on Omegle.
Oh,
Just-
really?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
trying to get titties on stream.
But have you
is the
guys noticed
majority
that?
of those.
Have you guys noticed that Sean said he did watch it?
Yeah, me and Anna both watched it.
Oh, now it's him and Anna watch.
Uh huh.
Oh,
And that shit was hilarious because
Oh,
the amount of you know how when you queue into somebody in Omegle and the camera angles from like the ground up, you're like, oh no, this is gonna be a train wreck.
You're like,
Yeah.
No,
it
I
might
don't
be
know
a
about that.
penis.
Would you enlighten me,
it's
Sean?
basically, when you queue into Omegle on that, you're essentially just expecting a dick at that point. Somebody is going to flash a
and
dick.
and
on
you,
It's
the
just,
you
camera.
know from personal experience here.
Nick, you're
Uh,
telling me when you were in
yeah.
high school, you and your homies
You
never
didn't
went
go
on
on
Omegle?
Omegle?
Come on, dog. Come on, dog.
Yeah,
No, actually, it didn't.
actually, I never went on Omegle.
You've never been on Omegle with people where they're like, I'm like, what are you
Yeah,
doing? They're
come
like,
on.
oh, I'm on Omegle. You're like, what the fuck are you doing?
yeah.
No, never once
That's
did
good.
like the group of people that I was with say, "Hey, let's go on Omegle." Never once
He's a
did
fucking
we
liar.
do
There's
that.
always like one degenerate who like spearheads it, where he's like, I'm gonna get on Omegle, bro. We're gonna talk to chicks.
Yeah, we're gonna
And
talk
it's never cool.
shit
Yeah.
on
It's just a
Omegle.
sausage
Yeah, no.
party. And
Never
sometimes
did
there
that.
is actual sausage at the party. So
Like, I'm not saying I've never like seen Omegle, you know, like I've seen
Yeah.
it,
no,
but
of
I've never
course.
like actively been like, oh, let's fucking go on Omegle.
Like, you know
Yeah.
how we should spend a Saturday by hopping on
Going-
Omegle.
Going on Omegle.
Okay,
Oh,
I mean back
So I
back
found
to-
the tweet from the guy I was talking. So his name's Heel Mike. And his tweet, so he only got banned for a day actually. So for
Yeah.
the blowjob happening on stream, he got banned for a day. And his tweet was, "One day ban on Kick after average 15,000 views, and honestly, I got lost in the sauce and was over the top. I'll be back with the
Trainwreck's
energy, but
reply
not
was
being
crazy.
disrespectful." Yeah,
Yo,
this
wait,
is
he
why
was
Kick is
over
the
the top.
GOAT, because they reach out and tell creators what they did wrong. And then I guess Ka is his thing because he's just a Ka with
I like how
faces.
people were like, you have to get told what you did wrong. You got a blowjob on stream on a
Yeah.
platform that doesn't advertise itself as 18 friendly or 18 plus or like kid
Yeah.
friendly. So I mean, it's not some
I
mystery. I
mean-
think the biggest thing is that it is the Wild West out there, and with
Mhm.
Kick.com, like Aiden Ross streamed the freaking Super Bowl on there, dude, which
Dude,
I
he
think he's
streamed
gonna get in a lot of
porn.
trouble for. I mean, the porn
Yeah.
thing's not surprising because at the end of the day, if they're not gonna be hard on porn, who
Yeah.
cares? Like, but the Super Bowl thing is a big deal because that's where you
Yeah.
start getting into
Well-
where the platform will have to start digging down, like cracking down on that stuff.
Well,
because
yeah.
that's
Well, dude,
all
there's-
legal
there's-
trouble with a
There's,
huge
there's people on there
organization.
streaming shows, streaming movies.
Well,
Like,
it's like now are they going to come out to the platform? Or if the platform has a way of like evading these things, they can come out the creator or
yeah,
what's it called? The
content
streamer
creator, yeah.
themselves. So like
Right.
that's a big deal even of itself in that regard.
yeah,
I just think it's
Like I said,
gonna-
it's
gonna
Borderlands
force-
out there,
it's gonna,
right?
it's gonna force their hand into doing some things very aggressively because the NFL isn't someone to play with, especially with like the way
Yeah.
they approach their content and how
Especially when
quick
you talk
they
about their
are.
money.
That's what I mean. I mean, they're not someone that I would want to pick fights with as a
Right.
platform. Like they're someone who will go through legal trouble and they're in the space enough to know how to navigate that landscape. Like,
yeah,
so I
Yeah.
feel like that's one of the biggest things because I think that Kick.com does have a potential future, but right now it's literally just titties, ass, and porn and all that.
It's honestly complete freedom to combat Twitch, and it's just a trial and
Yeah.
error process from this
For-
way out.
For
This
the
way forward.
people who are actually streaming games, there's actually getting good results. I don't know if these are
Mhm.
view bots or anything, but someone talked about I've been streaming on Twitch for a long time. I've always averaged like 3 viewers. Their first stream on Kick, they averaged over 12. And this
Yeah.
isn't like one person. This is a lot of the people who join the platform. I don't know if discoverability is just very good on the platform or it's like it's not as oversaturated as Twitch is or YouTube. But
So
Yeah.
from what
Yeah.
I've seen, is there's like maybe a full page of people to scroll through.
Yeah, I was about to say it's just the
There's
I
not-
think the
there's not multiple
oversaturation.
pages to like keep going. You know, you just
Yeah,
it's one page.
And also the hype that Kick's getting right now with all the attention.
yeah,
Like people are just going to check it out just to check it out.
I think that it's good press for them because it gets people to click their platform, regardless of if it's like porn or people getting.
But whether
blowjobs
it's good
on
or bad, it
stream.
doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Well,
A
I
view's a
think that's
view.
why there's
Yeah.
a lot
Like-
of slaps on the wrist going out. You know
Right.
what I mean?
at the end of the day, they're driving views to the platform and they're helping them grow. And especially at a time that Twitch or YouTube is kind of ripe for the taking. So
Yeah, they're not in a
Mhm.
positive light right now.
yeah, I think it's easy for them to have these people kind of be villains, you know?
Yeah,
But I mean, that's the biggest thing with Kick. I mean, Aiden Ross
Yeah.
is fully banned on Twitch, so he's
Yeah, I guess we're
like-
streaming on Kick now, boys.
I'm gonna be honest with
I've,
you.
I've considered it.
me too. I'm
I've
like,
heavily considered
I'm like,
it.
because here's the thing: if you're the guy who grows on Kick and then you can push yourself
I'm-
to Twitch, like I almost see it as a jump starting platform. It's like the XFL
Yeah.
of
yeah,
Well,
of the NFL. You know what I mean?
we're also not in any
Yeah.
exclusivity contracts right now. Like you can stream on both at the same time, probably
Yeah.
right now. And because I don't
Yeah.
think Kick has
Right.
anything like that either.
nope. They
So-
came out and said that you can stream on multiple platforms at once. They don't.
So yeah, it's like there's
Yeah,
almost
about
no
that.
reason. It's just another one to like open up the avenue to.
Yeah, there's just no like major downside to you doing that. But anyway, moving past the whole Kick.com thing, that kind of brings me to my other topic that I brought up, which was Kai Cenat or Kai Cenat. I don't really know how you actually say his name, but
Sonata,
he broke. I think
Sonata.
it's Cenat, but whatever. Dude broke 300,000 subscribers. He's the most sub channel on Twitch ever. It isn't a subathon, no different than Ludwig's. Ludwig's was like
Yeah.
282,000. He reached 300,000, and his was actually pretty crazy though. Like his stream and the content that he was pushing out was pretty wild because I feel like Ludwig was like a lot of sleeping and a lot of just like doing whatever to pass the time. There's no plan. Kai
Mhm.
was doing like crazy shit. I would just see him on the homepage and just like the title of the stream is like he was in like a mansion and they had all these different camera angles and like there was like a camera operator and
Yeah.
it was just like a full production.
What are they
But-
doing? Because I honestly like.
Dude,
Dude.
Even though he's the biggest guy, I don't really see much on
Dude,
him except
it
for like
was-
some
it
things I
was-
see on
it was a
TikTok and
lot of
shit.
stuff.
his content is like grab a hat and just pull shit out of it. Like it's so outlandish and it's just so like bizarre. Like he'll have like, oh, let's be beekeepers in this stream, like just random stuff.
Yeah.
He had one where he was learning to like salsa dance,
Salsa
like,
dance.
which mind you, like not anything I'm interested in, but it really does garner a lot of attention.
Well, obviously,
very
right?
interesting. I think
Yeah.
it's just his personality is the biggest thing. He's a very large personality and he's very out there. But just to think 300,000 subs is like what? What did he get from that? Like
He gets what?
easily
I mean,
over
actually,
750,000.
Yeah.
I think easily because it's also dependent on his deal, right?
That's not including donations, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just subs
During the
alone,
time
he's at
frame, yeah.
750,000. I mean, you pay out
mean,
all
if
the
he-
people that
I
help
was say if
make
he's
the
an
broadcast
affiliate,
happen.
if he's an affiliate, you just like you just double that, and that's what he's. So that's at least 600,000 right there.
Yeah, it's a wild number, but I think that subathons are stupid. Like I'm actually not a fan of them.
It's the hype train.
I think the way he approached it is good though. Don't get me wrong. I think he approached it better than Ludwig did. Because Ludwig's was just boring. Like it was just like I'm sleeping for 8 hours and then I'm gonna go work out at the gym and then it's just like trying to keep his
It's just his
chat
life.
engaged.
Someone suffering through a subathon.
It's like it's almost like what's that Jim Carrey movie where he doesn't know he's in a TV show?
Truman Show.
It's
Truman
literally
Show.
like Truman Show was more akin to what his stream was, whereas Kai's was like a full-blown production and like an experience. But I think Twitch, I think it's the biggest thing to me about this whole situation is I think that subathons are bad. They're boring, regardless of what you try to do to make them entertaining. There's always a lull in content because you're sleeping.
Yeah.
But Ninja,
I don't know. Some people like watching you sleep.
Dude, Ninja had over 270,000 subscribers without a subathon. Like I think about that and how big Fortnite was at the time, and that's ludicrous to me. Imagine
That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
like these people could only break this by streaming nonstop for 30 days straight, never ending the stream, having an incentive for you to watch. Whereas Ninja pulled this number by just playing Fortnite,
just streaming Fortnite.
Like, oh my god, what a crazy time! Like, I never realized how crazy that was until now, where I'm like, he only beat him by 30K, and he had to do it during the subathon. Wild
That
numbers.
is wild.
But those types of numbers is kind of bring us towards the other point that I brought up to you guys, which was the whole like esports apocalypse of all these teams dropping their people. I think that for a long time, people thought that these inflated numbers were like the normal, whereas that's more where esports will probably be in like years to come, where you have people who can pull in 170,000 consistently for a year. I don't think we're there now.
Well, we're still in the process for sure.
Yeah, so we got there, and I feel like you started seeing people put in money. And one of the biggest people in this story was the esports team, the Guard, which I don't. It was what is the
LA
Overwatch team?
Rams? The LA Rams.
Yeah. So it was the LA Rams owner, but he owns the LA Rams, the Denver Nuggets, Arsenal FC, Colorado Avalanche, and some other teams as well that are not like primetime teams, so to speak.
Yeah.
But he was one of the people who invested in Overwatch League for the Los Angeles, whatever they are. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I forget.
And they dropped.
I think they're the Gladiators.
Dude, I think you're right. LA Gladiators. I think that sounds correct. But
so
they dropped like over 30 employees. I think was the number.
Yeah,
like,
that's why the Guard was the biggest one talked about because of the amount they let go. Because even the other big teams are like Team Solo Mid and also 100 Thieves. Like they dropped a lot of people, but Guard was the one that like took their hands off of esports almost completely.
Dude, and it wasn't like hey, in 2 weeks we're gonna start letting people go.
Right.
It was overnight. like they had people who just got hired
Who just
2
moved
days
like a week
prior.
ago. Or
Yeah.
Like there was a dude, he's like an editor. He literally moved to LA 2 days prior, signed the contract, all that, got an apartment with like a 24-month lease, I think it was,
Yeah.
and he was just let go next day. Like, and
Yep.
and
Damn.
it's just wild because it's not, they're definitely not alone. There's other teams that are making drastic decisions, and one of the biggest things about this is you're seeing like traditional sports money being pulled out.
Yeah.
There was a long time where you had like traditional sports owners like I don't remember this dude's name, but the LA guy that we just talked about who owned the Garden,
Yeah.
they put in a lot of money, and they're like, it's like a mass exodus right now because they're just realizing that the space isn't ready for the money yet. It's
Yeah.
not worth their investment.
And it
So-
doesn't help that you have companies like Respawn and EA not paying revenue shares to teams that are in there backing their game and putting their logo and their presence in,
Yeah,
you know. So you had an entire event where there was supposed to be esports skins for each individual team. All the teams wanted was a revenue share of sales for those skins in the game. Well, Respawn and EA, doing what they normally fucking do, which is not reading the goddamn room temperature, decided they were going to offer 60K one-time payments to each ALGS team. Just for an example, the last collection event that just passed in Respawn's Apex Legends, right, made $8 million. Okay.
Wow, I
The
didn't know
last
that.
collection event made $8
Bruh.
million. All
That's
right.
crazy.
So they're offering to pay orgs 60K when they're making 8 million off of one skin line for one event. And the ALGS, you remember when they did the banners, the banner
Yeah, yeah.
backgrounds?
Yeah.
They made a shit ton of money. I don't know the exact number off
So-
of it. So imagine if they sold the fucking ALGS skins for the characters.
I feel
how
like they're
much
not
money they would have
alone. I
made.
feel like they're not alone in that though, because I remember when Nick and I were playing Rocket League and esports skins were just being announced. I mean, my
Mhm.
favorite team has always been Cloud9. They pulled out because Rocket League wasn't, or Psyonix wasn't transparent about the revenue share and the split. Like they were
Yeah.
offering them like pennies on the dollar,
Yeah.
or like they were offering splits, but it was pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
Whereas they're like, you're using our brand to sell a $5,
Yep.
$10, $20 item, and you want us to get cents from it. And it's
Yep.
our brand that's
Right.
selling the item, not yours. You know what I
Right.
mean?
And that's the crazy part, was that they thought that 60K was enough to
Well,
pay
it
each
sounds like the
ALGS team.
developers aren't ready for the amount that they're like gaining from this.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to make the proper deals to respect both sides of the arrangement instead of just their own.
I don't know if it's that. I think it's more that they think they're in a position of power to offer that deal. Because at the end of the day, there are ALGS teams that have those sort of things, right? Like they have those
So
items in the game.
one of the funny things from an interview recently was one of the guys, one of the directors over at Respawn was like, why would we sell skins for your guys' teams when we could just sell our own skins and keep all the profits? And it was like, well, fair, right? He's like, why would we pay you guys that when we don't have to? We could just make our own skins. We won't even sell those with you guys' team logos on them, and we'll just keep all the money.
I mean,
Well, it's I mean, then it comes down to like, do they just not plan on making deals with most people at all, just to almost
Wait.
create their own Overwatch league? Like,
Yeah.
Dude, I don't understand the COD/Overwatch League thing. I don't know what people's obsession are to make leagues around their game, because I feel like it just hurts the competitive scene because they want this like traditional sports backing, not realizing that these teams have been, the Chicago Bears were bought in like 1905 for like $20, bro. Like now they're worth what, like 4 or 5 billion or something crazy.
Yeah.
But they were bought
Right.
for, you account for inflation, they were really only bought for like $1,000 or some crazy number like that.
Yeah.
But like they want to charge premium dollar for a product that has yet to show premium profit. And that's one of the biggest things. I mean, even across the whole industry, like you have the highest player salaries in America, where like League of Legends players are getting paid hundreds of thousands or even $1 million in some cases. Like their buyouts are huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But when you
Well, that's
talk
why you
about
have a
how
lot
much,
of imports too.
right,
Yeah.
right. But when you talk about how much money they're bringing in, it's not millions of dollars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The biggest things that esports companies are making money off of are brand deals and apparel, not ticket sales. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing
And
like
and,
that
and
for
it's
them.
it's because esports hasn't truly dipped into the true mainstream yet. Even though it's mainstream in the sense of gaming, like it's the mainstream in gaming. It's not the mainstream in, we'll just say, like America, right? Like it's
Right.
still
Like
a very
if you think of like the average esports viewer, right? It's people like us, people in their,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
20s to maybe mid 30s now, right? Or even teenagers, whereas like you still have roughly 60-70% of the population that like
Doesn't even know it
doesn't even
exists.
exactly.
Right. Like
And
when you talk
it's
about
like
football, like you think of all like the like
The
50,
people born in the
60-year-olds.
1900s,
Yeah, like
you
yeah.
know.
and that's
And
your
it's like
biggest
I
market.
truly believe like esports is in that direction, but we're not there yet. And it's like everyone thinks that we're there because of how big it is in the gaming community, but not
Yeah.
in the world. No, we don't approach it in America like they do in Japan or Korea. Like we're not held as celebrities in that regard.
It's
Yeah.
just like it needs to have more exposure on a mass scale, right? Like League started to do that. Like I really do feel like League is the biggest. I mean, CS:GO has the biggest player base, right? But I feel like League is doing it right, if that makes sense.
At the end of the day, League has had the most time to develop and then grow organically, and all these newer games like Apex, they want to grow to that level, or like
They want to be
CS:GO and
there
League,
now.
they want to be there without having to put the time in, right? At the end of the day, you
Right.
can't replace the
Right.
pop culture significance of the time it's had to garner and
You-
gain all these
Yeah.
people.
You got to be at the point where like League, like you said, League and CS:GO are, where people next year are already looking forward to the game next year, not just the people playing the game itself.
Well, and
the
that's
people
thing
and the
too,
fans
right?
outside of the game.
In the League community specifically, everybody makes the joke that like the season 1 Worlds was held in Freak's basement. If you guys know who Freak is, he's one
Yes,
of
I
the,
know
Yeah.
what Freak is.
you know, like, so like it didn't start out, you know, selling out Madison Square Garden or being, you know,
Right.
an international
Also, got to add Dota
phenomenon, right?
to this stuff too. I
Yeah,
forgot
well,
about that
right.
game.
Dota's, you know, in that same boat, right? Like it started out really small, right? And like you said, all these other games are just thinking, okay, well, we're gonna put out this game, we're gonna have a competitive league right off the bat, and everyone's gonna be invested, everyone's gonna love it, everyone's gonna enjoy
Right.
it, and that's not true. You have to
They're enjoying it
cultivate
this year.
and nurture that scene, right? Like it's got to be your baby. And a lot of these companies, as soon as it's not instantly profitable, they're just like, yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
I think that's the biggest thing right there, Nick, is Riot being a indie dev at the time when it was growing allowed them the liberty to not have board pressure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm sure
Yeah.
there was a board of some kind or at least a group of people, but and as they grew, like they grew from this and so did their game. It grew with them. So I
Yeah.
feel like the biggest thing is that Riot had the opportunity to grow as both a company and with their game, like League of Legends.
Ubisoft is like, what kind of game is hype right now? Oh, let me get that. Let me get that. Let me
Literally,
get
like
that.
if you think about what was that FPS Call of Duty wannabe game they made, they somehow made worse Call of Duty.
It's
Oh,
yeah.
remember? I
forgot the name of it.
It's
We
still
tried it.
still being beta tested. I keep getting invited to.
Still being beta
I don't
tested.
understand like the thought of EA and Ubisoft, and I think the worst thing about it is that these companies are making money. Like at the end of the day,
Yeah.
they make a ton of money off Siege, and like Siege is towards it's going down still, and it steadily has been, but they're still making money off the game.
it's being
Yeah.
resurrected like the Undertaker, man.
And I mean, it's funny that the two that you mentioned are the two
TSM
companies that
pulled
are
out,
known
bro.
for like not having good support in their community because of just how they treat people. And it's
Yeah.
like
Right.
obvious most of their decisions are just a money grab.
Yeah.
It's very interesting to me because I feel like Fortnite is one of those games that stormed onto the scene and blew up so rapidly, but and they've been on a decline because they were so big at one point. I mean, they were
Right.
probably the biggest game.
They were
all
the
of
top
anything.
gun.
Yeah,
Like
there was no game that could compete with them because they had gamers from all different walks of life, lifestyles, age groups, anything.
But that can probably still be in the conversation because even that's going strong today. Like not as strong as it was, right?
Yeah.
But it's still going strong where it's like
I
it
mean,
has a scene, the game's back constantly.
it's
it
not
still
just
has,
that.
Still getting
the
support
best-
from sponsor.
It
Like
still has like the best online tournament scene.
yeah,
Like, it's
It
built
doesn't-
into the fucking game.
They also don't have connection issues. They're
Yeah.
constantly updating the game and the game's mechanics with the whole like sprinting, sliding, jumping, like all that stuff. They're listening to their community by adding modes like no build. On top of that, they continually have new sponsors and new skin parts where they're making and sharing profits with these other companies. For an example, their newest one that's coming out and that's rumored and got confirmed leaked is Attack on Titan. Aaron Yeager is going to be in
I
their
saw
battle
that.
pass.
that's crazy.
Aaron
Aaron
Yeager is going
Yeager.
to be their like
You-
level 100 battle pass.
You know
person.
you know that means that there's gonna be an item in the game that's like the fucking ODM gear.
Yeah.
Dude, no, legit, or like there's going to be like a
Hey,
Titan like mode or
It's-
something. So,
yeah.
2 more days, guys. 2 more days
what
until Attack on Titan season.
is it when the season
Oh shit,
premieres?
is it?
Yeah,
Party
Is it?
it comes
premieres
out
in 2 days?
March 3rd.
Oh, bro.
Oh shit, I didn't
We're throwing a
realize.
party.
I
Watch
was gonna
party.
say on the big screen.
We're doing a watch party, confirmed. But maybe not for the Twitch viewers or for the YouTube viewers. Sorry about
Oh
it.
no,
but-
this is for us.
No, but I mean, at the end of the day, Fortnite has taken a different approach from other people. It's one of those things of not treating esports companies, esports teams, esports players as a whole as a number. I mean, one of the biggest things about Unreal, and if you ever like talk to my dad,
I was
you'll hear
gonna
about
say
this a lot.
now we're talking about Epic Games in general,
Epic
right?
Games and Unreal as a whole, like that whole process, they really care about the community. They know how to garner a community and also listen to their feedback. So I think that shows because their game has so much staying power. Whereas when you think of these other companies, when we talk about EA or like Ubisoft, some of the ones that are more greedy, they don't share any profits. They don't do any of those things because to them, they're all short-term gold. I feel like they're all oriented around short-term
I think
goals and
that's
like
fair.
making sure their
Oh,
board members
100%.
are, last month we did 100,000, but because of what you did last month, you're only going to make 20,000 the next month. Whereas Fortnite's constantly taking strides and doing new things to make more money.
Like it goes back to what we were saying, where it's like they're just jumping on the hype train. So it's like it's obvious that there's short-term goals because that's what's high right now.
Right, to them as a company, video games is just a business.
Yeah.
At least
I mean,
one
that's all-
section
that's
of
all
there,
it is.
they think it's a business. Whoever makes some high-level decisions, right?
Yeah,
Right.
That's clearly EA Respawn.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Right.
just
They're
it's,
like, the game fails, fuck it, cut it.
and
we're
it's
done.
so frustrating because I feel like Ubisoft, especially Ubisoft, in comparison to EA, has such talented and creative developers. Ubisoft makes some of my favorite concepts while simultaneously making some of the worst games, and it's so infuriating.
Oh, they have like some of the best ideas. Yeah.
That's one of the things I really love about Hogwarts Legacy. If you've seen any TikTok content or YouTube content, this game was made by like people who are fans of the books. Like someone did a TikTok where they're reading a passage from the book. If you guys ever watched Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, he has to open the egg and Cedric's like, oh, go upstairs, go here. This dude does a breakdown reading the book where it's like the floors are all made with marble. There's a mirror on the right. On the left, there's a woman with a painting.
Right.
The details are like perfectly sculpted to the details of the book.
Awesome.
Where do you see that? On top of that, Hogwarts Legacy is like, we're not doing DLC, period. No DLC, no paid content, nothing additional. This is the game. This is our product.
Yeah.
Which is just something you don't see anymore.
It's very true to the source material.
And then the other thing too is that you have these like game devs looking at this and they're like, oh my God, how do they make such a successful game? It's like, they just made the game through and through, made the whole game.
We're looking at you, the Halo TV series.
I think this is a good segue into another part of what we're going to talk about is the Elden Ring DLC, or not DLC, but the expansion that's coming out for the game.
That's not a DLC; it's an expansion.
Yeah,
to be clear.
Well, because like I said, you're talking about a complete game and all that, and that's highly what Elden Ring is regarded for, which is why it won Game of the Year, why it's loved by everyone, why everyone's still playing it now, why there's mods to create the multiplayers and just all those things.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to see where you guys sit now, because I know we've been running the seamless co-op, not with
Seamless
Nick,
co-op.
but
Yeah, we should get Nick
specifically
in on
Jared
it.
and Sean, because you guys have played a lot more than I have. I like the co-op for itself. I still don't like the base game, but the co-op's been fun playing with you guys. So
So you're asking what is our idea, or what are our feelings on expansions
DLC
in
and
general,
expansion.
well,
I think
we
you
can
should
talk.
focus about Elden Ring.
Yeah, I was gonna
specifically
say,
about
He's
Elden
excluding
Ring?
you from the topic, Nick, because you're a
That's
bitch.
that's fine. That's you know what? Fair. I agree. 100%.
fine, I agree.
You know what? You're right. I can't contest that.
Yeah.
Well, how do you
Anyways,
feel about
so,
Elden Ring now, Nick?
I mean, I honestly have not played it, and
Like,
I
do you even
don't.
care for Souls-like
So-
games at all?
Okay. No, I mean, Jared and I have talked about this. Souls games in general, to me, they're not hard. They're not hard games. It's very just memorize the rhythm of the boss fight and be patient.
It ain't like that.
And be
Seamless
patient.
co-op.
Hold on.
Well,
Here's
no,
the
well,
thing,
but that's
here's the
the
thing.
thing.
Hold on. I agree with him, and I play seamless co-op because at the end of the day, if I go to fight, the hardest thing about seamless co-op is you guys being in the way.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like,
There is
It's
no-
literally
there
the
is no
co-op
rhyme or
itself.
rhythm.
Yeah.
right. As in,
Right.
like, it breaks some of the rhyme and rhythm of the fight, so it almost makes it harder. But I also know that I can cheese it easier than I could in single player, though, because the moment one of you has aggro, I can run in, do a jumping heavy. I can run the talisman that does jumping heavies. I go bleed weapon, and I just constantly do that. And eventually, I'm gonna get bleed stack for free. I don't have to play around mechanics. I can just run away. So I do think the game is still easy in
Things
a
are going
way.
south. Touch the grace.
Yeah. Anyway,
Right.
I have played like the Dark Souls games. I have not played Elden Ring. I have not watched a single YouTube video, TikTok, Twitch stream of Elden Ring at all. So I'm not knowledgeable enough to actually answer your question.
I honestly think that you would like it, especially being me.
Yeah.
Going from
Yeah, Sean went from
absolutely-
screaming, hating in the game, to now like playing it every
Yeah.
fucking day.
yeah,
So-
So
like
here's the thing. I think that what it does is, in my personal opinion, I think it is the best emulator of a dungeon crawling experience in terms of like the player design and like philosophy behind it. It almost feels D&D-esque to me sometimes.
yeah.
Like building your character and the way it levels. It's a very nice traditional RPG in that way. The story, I don't feel like I don't care about the story at all. Like, I don't know what it is. I like that there's like pockets
Fair.
of lore around the map where you go to a new area, and generally do a good job of staging it so you know there's a story. There's a story of what happened here, but I don't care about it because it's not very enticing to me. But that's my take.
What's up, Sean? Looks like you want. Sean's like all over the place.
I can't say anything because like we just did a quest, like the first actual like quest that we did as a group today, right? And that was like the smallest little tiny bullshit storyline that we did. And the actual overarching storyline and the fact that there's multiple endings to the game too, based around your decisions and what you do throughout the game is
Okay.
it's really fucking cool. The story
You haven't
itself
even
is
experienced
actually
them yet.
really
What do you
cool.
mean it's cool?
Hold on. Here's the thing.
I have.
Hold on. How is it any different from Skyrim, but not as good of a story? Like, for an example, Skyrim and the Elder Scrolls games as a whole set the stage
Yes.
for what
Did
the
you play
story
Skyrim, Nick?
is. Okay.
Nick, did you play Skyrim?
Yeah, I
don't
played
remember.
So
I
when you
played it-
when you
I
play
played it a little bit.
Skyrim, there's a large intro sort of quest, and they like guide you along the way, and you understand what's going on. When you play Elden Ring, that does not
So-
happen.
Yeah. I agree. I agree with that. I think that going through and piecing together some of the stuff in the different areas, like each area of the game tells a different part of the story, or it's interesting once you start getting to new areas and you get deeper into the storyline, you get more information, you start piecing together more pieces of it, and
Well, I
it
think-
makes
Hold
sense
on,
with
Sean.
the overarching
Hold on, no.
story.
Sean just said something that's like groundbreaking storytelling. As you get deeper, you uncover more elements. That is,
Yes, I mean it's
you know
normal
what, game of the
storytelling,
year
but-
shit, dude.
But all I'm saying is the story is actually really
well,
fucking good.
their
and I've
whole
enjoyed
philosophy
it so
when
far.
they were making Elden Ring was to make it the open world for you to go and do as you please once you got out there. So it's like that design, it just goes against what Jared likes is what it sounds like. So
Right.
It's not anything to do with that, because at the end of the day, Skyrim is almost made in a similar fashion, right? What I'm saying
But there's a
is
much more
they
linear
didn't.
storyline.
There's no exposition to the game. That's
Yeah.
my issue. Like, when you start Elden Ring, why am I here? What am I doing? What are my motivations as a character? And
Well,
what is my focus, right?
I
That's
mean,
non-existent in the
That's-
game.
no. I mean
that was
you
a
get.
choice they made.
Well, you got that from the intro. The whole point is to
Yeah.
become the Elden Lord, and you even hear that from the other Tarnished that are around the world.
Yeah.
When you speak to them, even at the round table that we went to today.
But what is the weight of the Elden Lord? You get what I'm saying? Like,
Oh,
the way the
You don't
story is
know.
told, I like, at the end of the day, I get it's not linear, and that's okay.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is we're missing key portions of the game that guide you in a way to motivate you to continue unlocking it. At the end of the day, they rely on the experience of the different areas to keep you playing, not the story.
Oh
So
yeah,
that's
like I
what
said,
I'm
that's
getting
definitely
at.
the design philosophy.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say this sounds more just like it was a creative decision to leave it, more open for interpretation and kind of open ended, almost like it's like create your own adventure type of thing.
Yes, and
Yeah,
it's
that was
and,
definitely their
and I
idea.
do think it's bad storytelling from a main story perspective.
Oh,
From a
no, I'm
main
not
story
I'm
perspective.
not in disagreement with you. That's what I'm saying. It was their decision from the start to create it in that way. Is all I was getting.
But I can appreciate them being like creative. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, every game, like, I don't want to play Skyrim again. I think I was bored with Skyrim because I just played Elder Scrolls before I played Skyrim. And I was like, this is the same game. You know what I mean? So I can appreciate that. I'm just saying that it's bad storytelling to me sometimes when with some of the approach of it. That's all. And I wish there was more to draw you in instead of pockets of whatever.
Well, I'm interested, Sean. What pulls you so hard to Elden Ring now?
Honestly, like, there's a lot of exploration and a lot of just like pretty zones to go to and explore. And I think that's my ADHD ass brain just being like, ooh, what the fuck's over here?
I was
literally gonna say
ADHD.
Well, I was gonna say, didn't we already know that information though?
Yeah.
Like, why didn't that make you play the game before?
I guess it was just like as my character got
No, Sean was a popular hater. That's what he
stronger.
wanted. He was like, "Oh, Elden Ring, nah, fuck that."
Nah, I just had never really gotten into any Souls games besides Bloodborne. We talked about that a little bit earlier, but this was the first one that I've actually like played through and have played an immense amount of hours now and I've really come to like it. I mean, the combat can be clunky for sure. Torrent's movement on the horse is absolutely abysmal, especially on fucking mouse and keyboard. That shit is terrible, bro.
Yeah, is it like that in Breath of the Wild? Because you get a mount in Breath of the Wild, don't you? I think you get something.
Do you?
Yeah.
Is it like a fucking Ford pickup truck turn radius?
I don't think that Breath of the Wild has bad movement in it. I don't think any mechanics from a
Breath of the Wild movement is fucking nuts.
No, it's actually really like every system of movement in Breath of the Wild, or just any system of combat, etc., is actually wild and very well thought out and very well executed.
Yeah, like freezing rocks, hitting it 900 times, and launching yourself off of cliffs all the way across the map.
Like all the way people speedrun that game is because they put in such great systems that make sense, and it's almost like it'll execute on a way of like, so in Breath of the Wild, for an example, let's say like Nick's talking about, you have a block, you have a thing that freezes time momentarily, but you also have like when you freeze an object and you hit it, it stores momentum essentially.
Yeah.
So you can then hit it multiple times. You can like put a bomb on the ground, and then as time unfreezes, you just launch with the item, and that's because they executed their systems at such a high level. That's how I see it.
Well, so, I think Elden Ring's like torment movement is part of their difficulty.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's made to be annoying.
It's almost made to be clunky. And one of the other things about Elden Ring I'll say is, for a game that has like Game of the Year and stuff, I do not think the camera is well made. The lock-on camera system is not well made to me. You cannot convince me otherwise.
Yeah, I think that the main pull for me though, which is what it kind of grew into, is the fact that like you can just go at any level to any place in the world and go take on shit, right? Like there is no required
The true
item
open world
level.
experience.
Yeah, like if you play well, then you'll win, right? Like it's not one of those games that just tethers you down to like, oh, you just don't have the stats, right? You could literally be doing 30 damage every single hit and dodge 6 mechanics, and you're doing 30 damage per hit and eventually kill a boss in like 6 hours.
And that's partially at the same time almost why I think the game isn't hard to a degree. Like, and any boss, if you're just patient, you will just flat out be able to beat it by just hitting it once and running away. Like, I pretty much stand by that. Insert me parrying, what was his name? Godric? Which one was it?
Godric.
Was it Godfrey or whichever
Godric.
one the first boss
no,
is?
Margit.
Oh, it is Margit. It's Margit. Yeah. I beat Margit at level 1 with just a parry, shield, and a sword.
Yeah.
That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
And all I did was learn what to parry.
You got really fucking good at parrying.
And I'm just really good at parrying now. Anytime I can parry something, I'm really good at it. But I don't think the game's like hard in that sense. But I also don't like the game's just very unforgiving, and it can be frustrating while also being fun. Like, don't get me wrong. I do think it's still that way for me, where I'm like, this isn't necessarily hard. It's just how patient do I care to be? Do I want to try to style on this mob? Then I'll probably die. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Well, I want to bring it back around to what we're talking about now. You guys ready to make a Elden Ring team?
For dude.
Yeah, for the arenas that they had at Twitch Rivals.
Did
you
not
hear about
watch
that, Nick?
but that does not sound interesting at all.
It's literally like a 3v3 in an arena. With like,
Look
I don't know what
face.
the freedom was of it, but you literally see people like, the guys with the two-handers, the person in the back casting spells. Like, it's just like,
my favorite.
And then when you're being targeted, it's just roll.
I do not
be heavy load.
I do
free flowing combat, everybody.
Yeah, I don't think Elden Ring is a game that's like made for PvP. I've never thought that. I see clips of it online. Half the builds that people make for PvP are one-shot builds because it's like one of the only effective ways. Or it's the guy who buffs himself for fucking 30 seconds and then does one spell and one-shot somebody. This is the most stale, boring gameplay ever, which is sad because Elden Ring, one thing I'll say about the game as well, just to give it its like kudos, the boss fights and the AI design and like boss design as a whole is very creative. I love it.
Oh, the visuals and all that are very well done.
The animations are phenomenal. I have yet to come across somewhere where I'm like, that was stupid. I'm
Spells
always like,
look really good.
Oh damn. Or like the giant bow dudes, like the giants who shoot giant arrows at you and clap you in one hit. That's super dope. I love it. But that's the PvP is not the move for sure.
I just think that's like
seamless co-op's good for me.
I really hope it doesn't become like a real esports thing. But
okay, so we were talking about expansions though with this, right?
Yeah.
Like so Elden Ring is putting out an expansion.
Yes.
Then I'm guessing.
I don't know if it's going to be $40 or $20. Like, I don't know.
Shadow of the Erd Tree is the name of it.
I mean, how do you guys feel about expansions in games in general?
I think that they're a good thing because a lot of games should have expansions, not sequels, because the sequels is just the last game disguised as an expansion.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I'm there.
They want to charge you, like, for an example, one thing Elden Ring has is hours, and a lot of times people release a second game, which is just an expansion, and it's like a fourth or half the content of the previous game. Whereas, like, I don't expect this expansion to have as much content as Elden Ring does.
I think it's healthier for games per se than releasing like a sequel, like you said. Like having a good foundation for a game, right? That's complete. It's fun. People can get a good experience out of it, and then just building upon that experience, like, is infinitely more, A, valuable to the customer and consumer, right? And B, it creates a good experience for the company too, right?
I also think it matters on like the story and things like that. So Like when I hear an expansion, it's going to continue on this Elden Ring story that's already present in the game,
Yeah.
and same environments, things of that nature.
Right.
Where it's like when I think of a whole new sequel, like this is probably taking place.
It could be timeline
like
difference.
Yeah, like I'd say more of like a timeline difference, because what I'm thinking of a game like Borderlands, where it's like I feel like each of those could have just been expansions and
Yeah.
not its own game, because
Right.
like we're still in Borderlands, we're still talking about the same characters. Like there's a recurring character in every single one of them, and I'm just like, so we're in the same place, but it's the second one.
The reason why it's different, though, the reason why it's different and where expansion versus sequel comes into play is when it comes to game systems.
I was
Right?
I was
When
going to bring that up next.
New game system or game mechanic, or just flat out, there's no longer these classes. Like in Borderlands case, there's no longer these classes. There's these set of classes. It just it makes it more fresh. So I could see doing a sequel for that, because it's a fresh new story. You have to introduce that differently.
That's the point I was going to bring up next. Yeah.
I mean, because at the end of the day, there's a lot of games. Like one of the biggest ones that I mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned this yet today, but the whole Sons of the Forest thing, right? The biggest issue that people have with it is
that's the Forest follow-up, right?
Yeah. So the Forest, which is one of like a handful of overwhelmingly positive games on Steam.
Mm-hmm.
That game has mixed reviews now. Sons of the Forest, which is a like huge sequel. It is only $30, but that game has poor reception because it's worse than the first one. It's the same game. It doesn't have extra story. It has the same mechanics, and they didn't improve anything. So what's the point of making a sequel? Whereas, like in this case, I think that Elden Ring wants you to use your already existing character with your already existing items, with its already existing systems, with its already existing world, to just continue on and experience more that they want to throw at you. And I think that with sequels, sometimes they just do sequels to make you play another game and nothing's different.
Rehype their game.
Rehype the game, re-release it. But then you have like games like, I think of Infamous 1 and 2. Phenomenal. Infamous 2, phenomenal. It has new systems, new traversal, new powers, stuff like that. But they also did like Infamous Second Son, which is a DLC expansion one. It's like a side story, and it's a little different. So they made a good distinction in that regard.
Right. So I think there are games that actually have done both, right? Where like they'll have multiple games that also have expansions as well. Right. And this is obviously spanning over probably almost 10 years, right? For these types of games that have expansions, and then you release a sequel to that game that also has expansions. Like you're thinking of like the lifespan of these games, right? It's not 1 or 2 years, right? They're probably closer to 4 or 5 each. I definitely think like if you have a good foundational game, that's definitely the avenue to go, right?
Yeah, well,
like
I mean, as being a consumer, if I'm investing my time into a game, I'd rather continue to invest my time into that game and have more content
a completely different one, right?
than start from scratch every time.
It's kind of like what I talked about with Jedi Survivor, where you keep the same force powers and you don't have to rediscover them. That's such an annoying take, and it's such a bad storytelling aspect as well. Like, ooh, you hit your head and now you have memory loss. You have to relearn all these things. You're just like, you're just coming up with an excuse for me to have to jump through hoops again.
No one even enjoys watching that in the movies. Like,
I mean, okay, so I kind of agree with you there, Jared, but at the same time too, like sometimes and this is more maybe for like maybe a dungeon crawler type of game, right? Like going and finding all the different power-ups and stuff like that. If that's like a core game mechanic, I could see why games would make you do that, even if they are sequels, in a franchise or whatever, right? So I mean, I don't think I would.
Guy to tell Blizzard to invent Torghast.
I think
Torghast was fun.
I
will say.
Okay, to be fair, that the idea of Torghast was not bad. The execution is where it fell off.
Well, no, the fact that you were forced to do it to get your best in slot.
That's part of the execution.
Yeah, is where it fell off.
I'm just messing around, but I think that there's examples on both sides of the spectrum. Of course, like we talk about Sons of the Forest being a bad sequel, But there is also bad expansions, like with Destiny Lightfall, which is mostly negative on Steam right now. It came out yesterday or 2 days ago. It's mostly negative. It has hundreds of negative reviews, and every aspect of it, people are like, it's terrible, it's bad. The creatures are bad, the story's bad, the dungeons are bad, everything about it's bad. So it's
The
possible.
classes at least good.
Well,
It
they
was-
added like a subclass in the main story. There's a bug in the game where if you do this one mission, it locks you from progressing the rest of the story. So there's just a lot of things. Like there's a lot of ways to mess it up, I think is all it comes down to. I think you
Right.
have to look at the game and say, are we trying to offer a new experience or expand on the current experience we already have? If we're just trying to expand on the experience and tell another story or like a side story, then it's an expansion. If we're trying to create a whole new experience with the same world, the same characters, then maybe an actual sequel is the best thing to do. Or like we mentioned, there's a time skip, there's a story reason that we want to talk about and dive into as to why we're here. Then a sequel makes the most sense.
How far into Like, how many expansions are we into Destiny now?
quite a
Too
bit.
many. Too many
Four-
because
4 or 5.
the first 2 expansions in Destiny 1 should have been with the game.
No,
That's
those were the
fair.
ones.
Agreed.
Those were the ones that were literally on the
But they
disc.
were-
They were literally
were-
yes.
Yeah,
and
they
I-
were literally on there already.
the literal reason why I refuse to play Destiny to this day.
I know it makes
It's,
me
it's
sad.
the
I'm
principle.
sad.
Does
I-
it make you
five-
sad,
five-
though? Does it?
Five
It
expansions
makes
in, and
me
you
it
couldn't
makes
get
me
right.
sad because I really thought that this expansion was going to be good. Like I almost bought it the night prior because I was like, it's only going to be me and Anna that are going to play.
mean,
it. But like, I really
Sean-
liked the gameplay of the game itself. Like,
I was gonna say,
running around,
you're-
shooting shit, getting loot. Like, it was fun to me. I
I was
liked
gonna
it.
say you're very optimistic when it comes to expansions and games you like at the
And-
core.
And I don't know, and I don't know what happened, but like I just held off for some reason. That I was like, I'll,
So
I'll
you've
wait.
been kicked too many times
here's what I'll
before.
say about that, because
Yeah.
there's one other topic we didn't hit yet that I talked about at the beginning we haven't touched. But what I'll say about that is the problem with Destiny and games like Destiny is that they're console games. And what I mean by that is they're
Yeah.
very much developed with a console mentality. As in, when I go to a major city, quote unquote, why is there only 8 of us there?
Yeah.
Like, what? You know
Well,
what I'm saying?
I'm sorry. You have guilds in the game, and I have to use a web browser.
Exactly.
It's not
Whereas-
built into the game.
When
Mobile app
now
for group
think,
finding.
no, but think about it this way: when Final Fantasy: A Realm Reborn is done, and you have groups, you can fully play on PC or on console with no restrictions. You get access to all the same content, to all the same cities, to all the same abilities, and nothing changes. When you play Destiny, they very clearly sacrifice things in sake of console instead of developing in a way that brought similar experiences to both that are good experiences. Like I said, when I go to a main city, there should not be 8 of us in a main city. That makes no sense.
Look. When I'm playing a game, the entirety of the game should be in the game, so that when I'm playing the game, I am playing the game.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah,
like,
especially
well, in
when
order for you to
it's-
play Destiny, you need a second disc, you need a second console, a phone, a tablet, and a modded controller. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but like
Yeah.
even Destiny branded itself as an MMO.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, how are you an MMO when I can count the number of players on my screen on my 2 hands?
Right.
You know, it's like
Yeah.
Where's the massive part? That's what I'm failing to
Look,
understand.
it's my massive hands.
well,
right?
well, there's massive amounts of people online. Okay, well,
Look at Steam charts. All right, look, it's
Dude,
massive.
By definition, Destiny is an MMO in the same way Rocket League is. You know what I mean? Like or Apex. Like those are all MMOs. Like, but whenever you say something like MMO,
yeah,
You're talking about
which,
being
don't
a
get me
world
wrong,
with like 1,000 people.
exactly.
At least.
My expectation, what I would like, what would make Destiny really cool is going into a major city and you seeing like hundreds of people or 100 people, enough
Yeah.
to make it inflated to where it feels like it's a major city and there's a lot of these people.
right.
At this point, it's bigger than a survival server on a survival game.
Right.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, I could just go play Ark or Rust or Conan, and I'm gonna see more people than I ever do in Destiny.
Yeah, and it's
So
like,
that's my problem. That's console mentality to me.
yeah,
Because
Right.
I think they could have developed it in a way where you can achieve that, but they had console mentality when they developed it, as in we only need to support up to 2 different groups of people or 3 groups, which comes out to 12 players total or whatever. That's what I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Which sucks because I really enjoy Destiny's
Sean goes,
gameplay.
yeah, no, but I
Yeah,
think it
it
is
just-
good gameplay. But I mean,
I just I
Oh.
think that there's a lot of limitations with the system in which they're working within too, and that's why they draw the shit back. Like the amount of projectiles.
All right,
that
get
are
a better
on there, like
get a better system then.
no, I agree. That's what I'm saying. Is like that's the downfall of the game, right? Like they built the systems from the ground up bad, and then decided to stick with something bad instead of making a new
Right.
product.
because they had console mentality and knew that an Xbox player would be okay with that.
Right.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
Jared's
but
trying to start the console wars now.
I
No,
don't
no,
have to
no.
start the console wars. It's
Destiny
easily
is
won by one
PlayStation
side.
anyways.
Yeah, sorry, Xbox, PlayStation, whatever.
Right.
Right? Sorry,
I mean,
Halo's
they're-
just
they're
as
on
bad.
both,
But anyway,
so-
On God.
so the last thing that we didn't touch on or talk about was the whole TikTok news. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but
Yep.
TikTok is under a large amount of fire where like the state of Texas was talking about banning the app as a whole. There's
Yep.
multiple, like the United States government is talking about banning the app, kind of like when Trump was in office. They talked about that a little bit. Holy shit, Nick has light on his face.
Yeah, I know.
But
I have an article pulled up on it. This is why.
oh yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the other thing with that is TikTok's like definitely trying to save face, which I think is funny because they're gonna implement or they're talking about implementing for people under 18 that if they have more or they're gonna cap them at an hour of screen time. So the moment they hit an hour of screen time, it's gonna come up with an alert like, hey, you've hit your hour allotment of TikTok, you know, sign out or basically acknowledge that you're continuing to use the app, which is just like a save face thing and like a
Yeah.
damage
Oh,
control
definitely.
tool. I don't think it's effective because it's about as effective as when a website asks you if you're 18 or older, if you catch my drift. Like,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just it's their way of we got caught, so we have to do something.
you know, when you're in horny jail and it's like late at night and you got your phone on you and you pop into Orange YouTube and it's like, you must be 18 years or older. You're like, yes, I am. And I'm 14. You know what I mean? It's the same thing.
Or when
Like,
you made a PlayStation account, it's like you have to be 18 or older. It's like, oh, I am. This is when I was
Yeah.
born,
Oh,
actually.
to view
whenever
this
I try to
trailer
watch a
of
Diablo 4 trailer.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, I was born in 1908.
Me on
Right.
MySpace 15 years ago.
Yeah,
That's like me when I'm like,
Which
why
is
my
funny,
Twitter like 20 years old? That's crazy.
Because everyone
Right.
agrees to it, but then on their account tells their actual age and shit, and that doesn't matter.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right. It's just a way for them to say, like, look at what effort we're doing to limit this. We're trying, guys. We're doing our job. But I don't know. I
Yeah.
actually think that it's a major negative for gaming and esports though, because that's where a lot of content creation gets a boost as far as discoverability and things like that.
Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
think that it's a major plus for YouTube though. Like if that happens,
Oh,
YouTube
yeah.
Shorts
YouTube
is
Shorts
like
will be.
YouTube Shorts is going to take
Imagine,
over.
imagine
I-
YouTube Shorts drops a fucking app, like a solo app.
I
just
don't
for
think
shorts.
TikTok's going anywhere.
You
I
don't think
really
so?
don't.
I mean,
I mean, I understand, why they're cracking down on it and everything like that, but like if TikTok is smart, they'll eventually comply and they'll change things, right?
I mean,
That's how I see it. I
but
really
they-
what is
they
it
just
to
create-
change when it's like your users are the ones that create the platform. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I mean, sure, but then like that could go for realistically any social media platform at that point, right?
Yeah.
Sure, but I mean, what I'm saying is, what can they do to stop it? I mean, I don't think it's going to go anywhere either. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
No.
I think that it has too much pop culture like
Influence.
integration and influence that it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
But I do think that one of the biggest like talking points when you talk about this and is where people talk about, oh well, in China, TikTok is significantly different than it is here. For an
Right.
example, in China, there's a large push where the promoted stuff on TikTok is like science and math based things, and it's about
Yeah.
education. Whereas for us, it's more of a distracting tool, and it's meant to just grab your attention. It's like ADHD central.
Well, yeah,
Right.
it's
So-
different depending on like
You
the
literally
region
sit
that
there
you're
and
in.
doom scroll for 2 hours, and you're
Right.
like, I learned literally nothing.
Yeah,
And
you
you'll never
literally
get
can't
a
even.
repeat video.
But I don't have
Exactly.
one.
You also literally can't see other regions and what they get,
Yeah.
on theirs.
I fought against TikTok for the longest time. My first day downloading it after everyone pressured me to get it, I spent 8 hours.
Yeah.
And I was
Jesus
like, yeah,
Christ,
no,
dude. Oh
I
my
need to
God.
not.
I know.
Why do you think I don't have a TikTok?
Dude,
I literally
honestly,
had like
I think
100 Sean
TikTok,
on there one time.
TikTok
Like,
should
what
just work with like the health services side of our country. And
Yeah.
basically, if someone spends like 4 hours on TikTok, they essentially just get Adderall sent to their house automatically. Like, oh yeah, this like there's like a
This
diagnosis
motherfucker
sheet.
needs it, bro.
Yeah,
Dude,
there's
each
like a
one was a
diagnosis
fucking
sheet.
dopamine
Your
hit.
your doctor has like the clipboard. He's like, how many hours you spent on TikTok? You're like, yesterday 4, today 8. He's like, yeah, that's an Adderall right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to fucking not be on there. Each
Yeah.
one's just a fucking dopamine hit every time. 'Cause you never know what you're gonna get.
It's
So
funny
you
because
have to
that's the whole
start-
point of it, yeah.
I think I get bored with TikTok now, where I'm just like, ugh, whatever. I don't know if I'm like over it. But
You know
I
what I hate about TikTok clips? I get some whack ass gaming clips, and I'm just like, it's just music
Dude.
of you running around for a minute. Like, what? I was expecting something,
It's the guys with 0 views and nothing.
Yeah.
And they're like,
and I'm just
they're like
like,
highlight clip or something. They're like, and it's just the worst. It's like a guy who's definitely a bronze player.
oh,
Yeah.
100%.
content
I'm
at
just
all.
like,
the video's grainy, like nothing checks a box.
It's to bodies.
yeah, like, and the
Somebody's-
music's just blasting for the whole minute. I'm just like, nothing's happening. Like, what?
Yeah.
What was the point?
But I think at
This
the
is
end of the
why you
day,
have 2 likes and 0 comments.
I think that TikTok really does help inflate platforms, but I think that TikTok being banned would be really good for YouTube, truly. Like that'll solidify Shorts, which Shorts already has like a big following
Yeah.
now. Like there's some
Does it
channels.
really?
Yeah,
Dude,
it does.
yes.
yeah,
That's
Yeah.
so
Dude,
weird to
there's
me. Like,
channels that have 1 million subs just from posting shorts.
Yeah.
yeah.
And
It's
now, mind you,
TikTok started a
That's
trend of
wild.
another
now,
service.
mind
Like
you,
Yeah.
with
they were just
shorts,
wants
like
to invent
you
it.
make like no money, but
right.
but when you have,
But
a
it's not.
million
That's not what they're
subs-
for. Because even on
Right.
TikTok, you don't make much money.
Right. It's literally like they're just mediums. They're just ways for people to get you to long form content, which, you know, we should probably post TikToks at the podcast, but
We should.
we don't do that. So, you know,
Well, we
But
need to
that's-
discuss something else first before that.
Yeah.
right. But I mean, at the end of the day,
Yeah.
I think that TikTok's going to stay. But the biggest thing that I think that's working against TikTok is just the misunderstanding of social media and the boomers who make decisions in our country. When
Yeah.
when you guys remember when Facebook was up on the stand, and they're like, "So, Mark, if I put my phone over there, does Facebook know what I'm talking about?" He's like, "No, like you don't have Facebook on
Right,
your
that-
phone. How
look-
how would it know?" They're like, "No, but my phone's over there. Does Facebook know what I'm saying?" He's like, does your phone have Facebook? They're like, no. It's like, so how would that work?
Look, then now you're just talking about our government and the lack of us like understanding when the brain's deteriorating. You probably shouldn't be making decisions for a country.
Bro,
It's
that's a
essentially-
whole other podcast.
But
Yeah,
no,
I will say
but
that's a whole nother thing.
That's the demographic that esports is missing. We need
Yeah.
more of
Right.
those people in esports.
We need the boomers.
Bro, they don't know how to navigate
No,
to the
dude,
fucking web.
We're not gonna get them. It's just gonna get to a point where we're those people, and
Yeah.
like we're just gonna
No.
be there.
No, I refuse. I refuse to let that happen.
That's just how
Sean,
that's how it
no.
is, Sean. That's
No.
the trend.
Sean,
that's how it always
just the way
happens.
the world works. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
Sean, you can't get the current technology at your age of 29 to work for you. So what the
True.
hell makes you think you at the age
Hey.
69 is going to work for you, dog?
Hey, I'm gonna figure it out somehow.
Listen, I know that as me and Sean get older as friends, it's going to be like, hey, Jared, can you come
Jared,
over? I
what
need
the
you to
fuck?
figure out this TV.
Dude, we're gonna
Shit's
have
not
we're gonna
fucking
have these like
working.
advanced canes, and Sean's not gonna be able to work his cane
Fucking
whatsoever.
goddamn thing keeps going down and
Sean-
up.
It
Sean's
keeps
gonna
shocking
break-
me. Like
Sean's going to break his hip because his
Sean's gonna
advanced-
slip on the cement with his socks again.
Oh my fucking god! I quit.
Oh my god.
Take me
But-
out of here.
At the end of the day, though, I think that TikTok's here to stay. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching episode 21. And hopefully soon we'll talk about some, maybe next podcast, we'll talk about some branding changes and some changes for the podcast, things of that
Yeah.
nature, TikTok, maybe some social media stuff. So we'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you for tuning in, and peace out, y'all.
Appreciate you guys watching.
Later.
Appreciate you guys.
Later.